party at South by, and it seemed like you really kind of took everybody under your wing in a lot of ways, right? And it was kind of one of those things. I was talking to another genre writer, and like, oh, he seems like a cool guy. Like he's really kind of taking everybody under his wing, and he's like mentoring them. And I was wondering if you could talk, because I know you play the antagonist, but also it seemed like you had a really good rapport with everybody.
He's got a big wing too that
Yeah.
put people
I
out.
was going to say, there's nothing I could do, but most people are walking under my wing. Yeah, it's right under my wings.
We're gonna die.
And remember, kids,
never fuck with friendo.
So I'm actually in Montreal right now, and I know that you're from Montreal originally, aren't you?
I'm not. Well, my ancestors went to Montreal, but I'm not from there. But my hockey team is from there.
Oh well, they're doing really well. They're doing really well right now.
Well, yeah, it's we're the youngest team in the history of the playoffs, so I'm grateful that we're even there. But you're in Montreal. You live in Montreal?
I do live in Montreal. Yeah.
Oh, that's my favorite city.
So are you JoBlo Canada? Are you like mainly Canadian press here?
We're mostly American, but ironically, the guy who started the site lives in Montreal, and I'm the editor in chief.
Yeah.
I live in Montreal, so maybe that's why you heard me. I don't know. Probably.
There you go.
That's awesome.
I'm actually a huge fan of Tucker and Dale. I saw that at Sundance my first year.
No way! Wow.
Yeah. And the reaction I remember to that was just insane, and I'm so happy to see that it became a cult hit many years later.
It did what I thought it would do eventually. It took some time, but it got there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, hey, Kevin.
Wow. My wife just pulled up, and my phone goes directly to her truck.
Oh.
Sorry about that. I was like, oh, everyone's frozen, right? And then I was like, I don't think they are. Sorry about that.
I was telling Eli. So I got to ask you. So I saw this at South by Southwest, and I was lucky enough to see it with an audience, and the audience went crazy when they were watching the movie. And I think it's going to be a great film, especially for like as a gateway horror movie. I think for teenagers, and I feel like stuff like the slasher doesn't really exist anymore like it used to. So I was just wondering if you guys could talk a little bit about your influences. I know it was based on a series of books, but just what your hopes are for the franchise, and do you hope that this maybe becomes like the next, Nightmare on Elm Street or Jason for another generation, because it could be.
Well, I love that you go back to that. I mean, those are two absolute classics that I grew up with in the 80s, and it runs the gamut between those and, maybe a more consumer friendly like Scream also affected me a lot. But then I unfortunately saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre when I was way too young. Like how could a 9-year-old be watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre? And somehow all those things seared themselves into my brain. Initially, as you know, we were just talking about Tucker and Dale. Initially, like, I got to reverse all these tropes that I've learned from watching all these horror movies growing up. And for years, I was like the comedy horror guy. And I would be the guy people would send comedy horror scripts to try to fix them. But they're also the movies that like rarely get made anymore. Even Tucker and Dale, which has now like become this cult classic, was really hard to get distribution on. So part of it is like calculated, and part of it's also like just because I'm older and more a little darker myself, according like the world has made me a little darker, that I really was excited to just take a bite out of horror for a change and like be this like present day horror slasher movie that kind of has all these throwback feels to like the 1980s films and that I grew up with.
Yeah.
And then also had a certain element of the comedy that I love, that kind of breaks a little out of the genre, but in this instance it still stays within horror. I just kind of have moments to have a release valve on the tension.
Well, how about you, Kevin? Are you like I know that you're a huge genre guy, and I mean, what is for you? What do you hope a movie like this accomplishes?
I think, it's sitting in the movie theater South by Southwest. I was like, it accomplished it. It's, I think it's a real feast for any theater goer and anyone who sits down and gives it its time. It deserves to be seen. It's so incredibly well executed. Eli, so good. And yeah, I mean, I guess I guess I could be considered a genre guy. I don't know. I just like to act in things that have a chance to be good, and I thought that this had a great chance to be good because I was a fan of Eli's, and I love the words and I love the script, and yeah.
Well, I gotta ask you too. I mean, one of the things, so not every slasher movie does this, but this one definitely did, is that when characters start getting picked off and getting killed, I was actually kind of sad, and I was like, oh no, I really liked that guy, or I really liked her, you know. And it was kind of, and that doesn't happen a lot for me these days with horror movies because everybody kind of feels interchangeable and generic. And I never felt that for a second watching this movie. Everybody felt like a real, you know, like somebody that could actually exist, and everybody's got their good points and their bad points. So I was hoping you could talk a little bit about that. I mean, I know that a lot of it's probably in the writing, but also the execution and also the acting, because I had never heard of anybody in the movie for Kevin before, and I thought they were amazing.
I love that, by the way. I love that you haven't heard of him because you know why? It gives you a fresh take on it. You actually don't even know who's going to maybe be the final girl, or will it be this? You're trying to figure out the film as you're watching it, and a lot of what I like to play with are people's expectations. A movie to me is like it's a two-way street, right? Like you're absorbing what the movie's giving you, but you're also giving back your feeling of what's going to happen and your expectations of where the story is going to go. So when I start taking out characters that you kind of love, and you're like, oh no, I wanted that guy to be there. Then you start to not really be sure who's next.
Yeah.
And then you start being like, well, wait, this is going farther than I wanted it to. And I've found that people, they recover from that fairly quickly. I think as an audience member myself, I'll feel really bummed for a minute and then I'll be back in the story. So I just wanted it to be one of those that was like, oh, this is real. Like this, they're not going PG-13 here.
Oh,
They're not playing with like kid gloves. Like Eli's leaning in and like making a horror movie in his way.
yeah.
That's me actually, but yeah.
Well, and
Sorry, I don't speak myself in third person. Like, so.
and Kevin, as like kind of the veteran in the cast, what was it like for you seeing these young people? Because I mean, I saw you at the party at South by, and it seemed like you really kind of took everybody under your wing in a lot of ways, right? And it was kind of one of those things. I was talking to another genre writer, and like, oh, he seems like a cool guy. Like he's really kind of taking everybody under his wing, and he's like mentoring them. And I was wondering if you could talk, because I know you play the antagonist, but also it seemed like you had a really good rapport with everybody.
He's got a big wing too. That
Yeah,
put people
I
out.
was trying to say there's nothing I could do, but most people are walking under my wing. Yeah, my wings. You know, there's not. I didn't work with most of those people when I was on set, and then you meet these young actors that just kind of, you know, they just completely threw themselves in. They just trusted, and they surrendered to the material, and they're so proud of it, and they're so excited. It's like it's impossible to not be the older actor kind of going, wow, you guys are on the right track. Come over here. You guys are fantastic. Keep being great people. Like that's so important. That's the most important thing. Yeah, so if you notice that, that's just because they all are genuinely really great folks that I've known for short periods of time, but I'm a pretty good judge of character, and yeah, and I genuinely love the movie.
I did too. I mean,
Yeah.
I had a blast watching it, and I have to say, I'm really happy that Shudder's giving it a pretty robust theatrical release. And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
happy they're doing that with their movies more often because they had this, they had Late Night with the Devil, which was great. They have the Ugly Stepsister out, which is amazing. Could you talk a little bit about Shudder, about what your experience is like with them? Because it really does feel like they're trying to make a different kind of horror movie than a lot of the other companies out there are making. Like a Shudder movie is different than an A24 movie, different than a Neon movie in a great way.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, working with Shudder on this has been just awesome because you're also thinking about creative ways to get it out there. And right now, I think we could reveal this because it's just been broken. We're doing a bus tour
Oh,
with
nice.
the giant Friendo bus, like, and I'm talking like an epic, like rock and roll tour bus
Man.
that's going from movie drive-in to drive-in theater the week before it's released. And like Friendo will be there, and we're just doing these like drive-in theater releases. So they're doing really creative stuff to
That's
try to
awesome.
get the word out there. And they're just so behind the creators behind this, you know. And they're like, what do you want to do? We're going back and forth with the trailer, we're going back and forth with the posters. It's not every day, not every studio brings in the director for that kind of stuff. So I've had input all around, and they've been a fantastic relationship.
Kevin, are you going to be on the bus tour?
I don't think I am. I just heard about it. I was like, it sounds awesome. No, I won't be, but I'll be in New York for the premiere next week, so that's exciting.
Well, just before I let you guys go, I have to. They want me to wrap up, but I have to say the rotary phone gag, I thought was probably the biggest laugh I had in the theater this year. So thank you very much. As a child of the '80s, that was very, very, very appreciated.
I love it. And well, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you think that walks on the horror, or do you think it just kind of flows with it in a nice way?
No, it flows with it in a nice way. I mean, I think everybody got it, and I think they needed at that point in the movie. I think they needed that release because a lot of people had been killed, and there was a lot of stuff going on. So I think that it was you know, like it kind of, you know, like it's it's a release basically.
Cut
It's,
the
you know,
ice, yeah.
when you watch a horror movie and there's always that scary moment and there's like a part that really makes you laugh and it really kind of like heightens the sensation, I guess. Like I think it was very appreciated, and I think it works really well.
Yeah. Thank you. I really hope people get that like tonal balance. It's a little more delicate than I was in Tucker and Dale or anything else, but thank you so much.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks a lot. I love the movie. So take care, guys. Nice talking to you.
Thank you.
Okay, good talking to you.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.